All right, everybody, coming in. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy, where we believe the older women should teach the young, just like the late, great Kevin Samuel said over 3 years ago now since his passing. But we are here to teach those women that are interested in prioritizing marriage and family in their prime. And we teach from our own combined 40 years of marriage experience. So, Lucy, let us know, what are we reacting to tonight?
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. Yes, tonight we're looking at a. We're going to react to a reaction to different women that are talking about why should they settle. So apparently, these women think that anytime they decide to you know um, say yes to a man is settling for them. So let's see what they have to offer, and let's see the reaction from men, and then our reaction to that reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is a video from Ask an Older Man. Lucy and I have reacted to his content before. So, I think he has a compilation, and you know the theme here. But we try to not only react, but give those of you all who are interested in real traditional relationships some teachable moments. So, our two disclaimers again, if you want to do your own thing, if you don't prioritize relationships, that's fine. You can just do that over there. You won't be happy over here. And we have linked the video in the description if you want to watch it without our commentary. You're always welcome to do so. So I am going to share my screen, and we'll play and pause and give you our take.
Men are not worth settling for in any circumstance, any way, shape, or form. It's not worth it. Like, we're so indoctrinated to believe that like we have to get married, we have to like aspire to like having a relationship, having a man in our lives. Like, the goal shouldn't be to get married. The goal should be to be happy. So if a man in your life is not making your life better, easier, happier, more enjoyable, like there's no reason he should be in your life. At least when men settle for a partner, they get like a personal assistant, a house manager, a nanny, a chef, a therapist. What do women get when we settle for a man that treats us like less than the way that we want to be treated? We get emotionally, physically, mentally drained. It is not worth it. Once you get to the like mindset that like men are not worth settling for, that is when you get the good men, because they're the only ones that you'll accept.
Oh,
All right. I want to react to that, and then we'll listen to Ask an Older Gentleman. I almost agree with her. Ladies, don't settle. Stay single. Do all bad by yourself. Nobody is arguing you down. Nobody is forcing you. Again, over here, we are not trying to convince you. We are only talking to the women who have already decided by their actions, not just their words, that they want a real relationship. But here's what I find. Lucy and I are older women. I'll be 50 later this year. Of all these younger women who say, don't settle, being with a man is such a drain on all of these things. It's interesting to me that these are the same women shouting from the rooftops when they're our age that they feel invisible, that it's hard, that where are all the good men, that being single is so sad and depressing. So this is the wisdom, young ladies, if you're willing to listen. When you get older, you will be so grateful to not have to do the last third of life by yourself. It is very difficult. And relationships, if you choose wisely, that's why we're always saying choose wisely, are here to make that difficult journey a little bit better. But I would say, I think this woman is telling on herself. Ladies, you have to be very careful. Again, coming to the internet to say all the bad experiences that you've had, the way men hear it is, oh, something about you likes that. Something about you likes choosing the men that don't do anything for you. Mr. President, my man will say, these women ain't never had anybody do anything for them, which means you accepted that. So be very careful. And again, if you don't know how to choose, Lucy and I have some resources for you, but that was my initial thought. What would you add, Lucy?
And she speaks like if she was a woman that had lived 50 years having all of these relationships. She seems really young. I mean, how many relationships has she had to be able to make that general, statement about, she's not going to settle for anybody and that her goal is to be happy? So that tells you the mindset. Somebody with the right mind and the right mindset understands that happiness is not every day. You're going to have your ups and downs in life. So to pretend or to think that a man is going to offer you happiness, that you're already going in the wrong, stepping in with the wrong foot. Because again, we find our happiness on our own. Nobody can make us happy. We are the ones that choose to say, you know what, I'm going to marry this man and I'm going to be happy to bring this happiness to our family and to our environment. So again, this young lady, she's going to be the one that at 40, she's going to indeed be saying, where are the good men? And, why am I invisible? And she's going to find herself buying, boxed wine and, getting a dog. I feel bad for the dog because they're going to be the ones listening to that rant forever and ever because she's not going to be a happy person. And nobody wants to be around a curmudgeon.
Exactly. All right, let's listen to what Ask an Older Gentleman has to say.
Oh my gosh, we're back again on this one stupid subject. Yesterday I had this discussion in a gym with a 33-year-old woman that I have been communicating with for the last 2 years. 2 years I've been telling this woman, focus on getting a man. Focus on getting a relationship. I'm trying, I'm dating, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm focusing on my career. I'm focusing on making money. I'm focusing on that. 2 years later, same freaking argument. I'm not settling. And now she's got it in her head, thinking exactly like this one girl here that we just saw, that why is it that we should follow this traditional path? What's wrong with being on our own and just making our own money and surviving to the end of our time? And I'm trying to tell her, as a guy who's about to hit 60, you don't want to be this age on your own. Trust me, because I am talking to women and men at this age, and I can tell you, it's not a beautiful sight. But she is so caught up in this narrative that has been pushed on women. I don't need a man. I'm not settling. This is the thing. I'm not settling. It's insane. So I came across the Megyn Kelly interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson, and he summarized this whole thing so beautifully. And I thought I would rehash this argument to bring you guys this one point that he made that I felt that was so powerful to actually spread to other men and women to make them wake up and realize the position that they're putting themselves into. So when these women ask, why should I settle? Dr. Peterson said, no, they're asking the wrong question. And that's what we're going to get into today, my friend. The whole idea of how women look at settling should be refocused. All right. So my friends, hit that like button. Let's get into this because I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a powerful one. Gentlemen, women who have never lived with another partner that she wants or that brings value to her. She has never had that man. She has never had to engage with another person and work and communicate and cooperate with another man. All she have seen is bullshit lies told online by other women. And women share their pain and stupidity amongst each other. And a lot of them are lying just to tell stories and also those that are actually going through painful experiences have picked the wrong men to associate themselves with, and then they share those stories. People who are in happier relationships, they are not the primary ones sharing their pain, because women don't share a lot about their happiness. No, listen, let me get so that you understand the difference between happiness in women's eyes and pain. The pain brings them a lot more emotional bonding. And I'm going to bring you a video on that tomorrow. The reason when women share emotional pain together, why it bonds them together. That's why you get so many comments from videos where women are sharing their pain and they're crying. Yeah, oh my God, you'll be okay, girl, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you stay strong, blah, blah, blah. You know the stories. But the point I'm trying to get across is women will tell the worst freaking stories more than the stories that are actually true, because the true stories are boring. That's the reason. And it doesn't evoke the amount of emotion that the bad stories tell. Her pain and suffering is a lot more exciting to the sisterhood. So I want you to understand why that is. So let's listen to another woman talk about settling.
All right, I want to break this down a little bit before we go into the next one, because he said something to me that is really profound. And ladies, it goes to the nature of who we are as women. This is just how we are wired. Two things that he said that stood out to me. Firstly, he said that oftentimes the women, like this young woman, like Lucy says, she doesn't really have a lot of lived experience. She can't. Maybe she's in her 20s. But be very careful taking life advice from someone who hasn't lived that life. And I'm going to give you, a blanket statement for any area. Don't take investment advice from someone who's never invested. Don't take weight loss advice from someone who's never lost weight. Don't take fill in the blank here. So when you're taking relationship advice from someone who's never really had a real relationship, you have to consider the source, because ladies, you could be going down a path having sympathy pains with someone who's in this situation that they created for themselves, and it's not your reality. So that goes to the nature of us as women. Did you hear him when he said that we love the emotional, I'm going to use the word roller coaster, that comes with these sad stories? Ask yourself, ladies, if you had a girlfriend who was in a relationship and her man went out, and you said, how was your evening? Oh, it was great. We went out to a movie. We had dinner. It was fine. Compare that to, you got a girlfriend who's in a relationship. She goes out with her man, comes back. How was your evening? Oh my God, he stood me up. This was that. He was looking at other women. You are drawn in. We are drawn in. So we have to know, again, why I always say we are not the same. We are not equal. We're equally valued, but we're very different. As women, we are attracted to drama. We are emotional creatures. That's why we love chick flicks and romance novels and true crime and all this stuff that puts us on these emotional highs and lows. Contrast that with men. Men want as little chaos as possible. Men want the same thing, keep it stable. A lot of you all call that boring. It is a beautiful quality. But I wanted to say that because sometimes we get caught up in these crash out videos on TikTok, or your girlfriends or your mom or your auntie telling you about how somebody did them wrong. And you're there for the story time. And then you internalize it like this is the real world. This is not the real world, because those of us that are happy don't talk that much. All right. So I just wanted to say that, know that it is our bent as women to seek out that drama. So you have to be willing to say, okay, I heard you. Sorry that happened, but I'm going to stay the course. What would you add, Lucy?
I absolutely agree. And the part that he does make a point about bonding, anytime women bond more when we hear those sob stories. And that's the reason, especially on TikTok, you see that algorithm. Once you pull up one chaotic, TikTok, then everything else, every other following, TikTok post is chaos. So again, and that goes back to, we communicate, we talk a lot, we share all of this stuff, especially women that are naturally extroverted. They will share everything that happens throughout the day. And that, for me, is like where you have to be very careful about the kind of information you share, because there are those people that are trying to find out, oh, she said this and this, to create more chaos after. Even if you share a happy story, there are women that will find that one negative point and they will put it in the comments and everywhere else to just ruin, whatever happy story you had to share with them. So again, that goes back to also choosing your circle of friends, choosing those women that will provide you that counseling, that good counseling, wisdom, and not only want to gossip and give you information that really impacts you in no way, but it's more negative information that really you need to stay away from that. And again, if you're in a relationship and you're married, or you are in a close relationship with a man, the man doesn't want to hear all that stuff. Do not bring up all that drama that's happening with all these women into your home, because that doesn't create any type of peace. For him, it goes back to, is this something that I need to help her? Is this a problem that she's bringing to me that I need to work on trying to figure out for her? So again, we women, we love the drama, but, wisdom tells us that drama needs to be maintained as far away from your immediate peace, because you don't want to bring it in to create chaos for you.
So true. All right, let's go back in. I see y'all in the chat. Thank you for all of the engagement.
This is just freaking insane listening to this, actually.
How much money does a man have to make to qualify for you?
At least a 500,000.
Come again?
I mean, definitely 6 figures is the bare minimum.
But you said isn't 500K that's 1%?
I would say
1%,
because I would say at least $1 million for retirement, so we can live in Europe.
Wait,
doesn't that sound almost insane to say at your age that you expect a man with $1 million nest egg to take you to Europe to give you your happily ever after? That's not delusional to you?
Nope.
Most men, by the way, in your age bracket are on a Social Security fixed income retirement.
I've met them. They're out there. I don't think I'm delusional. I don't know. That guy said he was a multimillionaire and he'd rather be with a 52-year-old with a son than a young girl. So there are men out there.
I think you missed the part, that message said he was joking.
It was sarcastic.
Oh.
So these are women's expectations.
All right, I just have to react to that, and then we'll listen to Ask an Older Gentleman. If you all saw, that was a short clip, and not to be funny, but I would love to know in the chat how old you all think that woman in the denim dress was, because one of the hosts said, at your age, do you think that's realistic? Now, ladies, we can dream up any Barbie dream house fantasy that we want, but the reality can often be something very different. In my opinion, I'm going to put her at 40. Life can begin at 40 if you've done what you were supposed to do in the first 40 years. So she is out here single and at a very mature age for dating and relationships, expecting a man with, I think she said, $500,000 minimum to not only select her above all others, but retire her in Europe. First of all, what man do you know out of his own mouth says, you know what, I would love to live on the south of France? That's not real, ladies. The men that want to live on the south of France are already there now. So why aren't you over there and they are selecting you? But you're over here calling the shots of what you think is supposed to happen. And you said it with your chest. Again, you know what? You can want what you want. But ladies, men reward loyalty. The men that take their wives overseas is after she has dedicated her life to his vision after 20 years, maybe had a family with him or whatever they agreed that their relationship is going to be. And then if he's able, he will do what he can. It's not for us to say, I want to live on the south of France. Then you need to go over there and make that happen. But to sit there again on the internet and you think the men that are able to do that are going to choose you above all others, if they are going to take somebody, a stranger, to Europe, it's not going to be the 40-year-old woman that they don't know anything about. All right. What would you add, Lucy?
And it's funny that she said that she's met them, all of those men that are, very well, financially off. And my question is, where's the ring? Are you married? So you've met all of these men, but, you were not able to have one to say, I'm committing to you, or do you want to be my wife? And that's because there's probably all of the people that she's met throughout those 50 years that she's lived. The men have probably seen that behavior that has not allowed her to connect with that special man. And now at 50, she's thinking that that man is going to take her to the south of France. I mean, that is, like Andrew said it, it's delusional. That's the other guy in that podcast, that his name is Andrew, really a good debater. But it's, she's got a mentality of a 20-year-old that doesn't seem to understand the meaning of a man that is financially successful, that is looking for something completely different than what she thinks that she's offering.
All right. So I saw in the chat, you all said anywhere from 20s to 50s. I was giving her 40, but ladies, I'm going to say something that's going to hurt. My man said it and it hurt me, but I'm always here to tell y'all what Mr. President said. A 40-year-old man does not want a 40-year-old woman. Meaning, a 40-year-old man already has his 40-year-old woman. So she was there, put in the time, they grew together, built together, and now they are enjoying the fruits of that labor that they both invested in. Ladies, when you come at that mature age and you've done whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do it, then you want to cherry pick the best of the best. That is why you will stay single. Let us continue.
I don't think I'm delusional. I don't know. That guy said he was a multimillionaire and he'd rather be with a 52-year-old with a son than a young girl. So there are men out there.
I think you missed the part, that message he said he was joking.
It was sarcastic.
Oh.
So these are women's expectations. And I've shown you this video before. It just shows the absurdity of women, because in their eyes, they will only settle for that type of man. And if they don't get that type of man, they prefer to be on their own. Now, we know that's just a coping mechanism, because if a woman wants any man, all she has to do is to conform and behave in the manner that would make that man attracted to her, period. But this idea of, I'm going to be alone if I can't get the man I want, is what I call self-inflicted torture to themselves. And let Dr. Peterson explain it to you here.
And look, human beings are unbelievably social. You can take psychopathic murderers and you can punish them by depriving them of other people. That's how social we are. Right. So think about that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, right. So you can't be happy alone. Besides, you shouldn't be striving to be happy anyways, because happy is a side effect, not an aim. But even if it was an aim, which it isn't, there's no happiness alone. I mean, there's nothing happier than a friendless teenager. I mean, who believes that? No one breathing believes that. That's the stupidest thing you could believe. Like, teenagers are desperate to belong, and you can parody that and say, well, if your friends all jumped off a cliff, would you? And, there's limits to how much you should sacrifice your soul to be part of the group. But by the same token, like what other people think of you and how they relate to you, not only does that matter, it should matter. And so the whole progressive theory of the human being it's flawed in a manner that makes its enactment produce nothing but resentful pathology and misery.
All it produces.
All right, I want to take a moment to unpack this, but also I do want to answer Isaac's question. So, yes, Lucy and I do have several courses. We have a new one that we're going to be teaching in July, Relationship Basics. This is available, ladies of all ages. I like to say, if your mother didn't teach you how to be a good woman to a good man, Lucy and I have a 2-week course that we're going to be teaching. You can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. You can go ahead and get started and watch the videos, and then you'll get a calendar invite with us for the live teaching on Zoom. Since Dr. Peterson is an academic, kind of like psych hacks, he says things that are really brilliant. And if you miss it, it can just go over your head. But again, to me, it goes back to the human condition, the human nature. I think with all of these modern advances that we have, and we love modern technology, we love social media. We're here talking to you all on social media. But I really think, like my man will tell you, it's all that book learning. All the college, all the education, all these accomplishments, all these things are great. However, it doesn't change who we are at our core. A man is a man, a woman is a woman, and we really are better together. So my point is this. You're starting to see this happen. Lucy has been talking about these leftover women in China, and it's already starting to happen here in the US. And I take no pride in saying this will continue and it will get worse before it gets better. Are you all starting to notice more and more 50-plus-year-old women who were loud and proud about what they weren't going to do when they had opportunities, and they took that long lap around the mountain in solitude, have now come back to the airwaves to say, I really do want a partner. I haven't chosen well. I wouldn't wish single motherhood on anybody, my worst enemy. You all know who they are. I don't have to say their names. And these are the ones that are saying it. How many are suffering in silence with regret? My point being, in what Dr. Peterson said, as human beings, we are social creatures. So all of these women who are saying to themselves and telling you, you don't need a man. You can be bad all by yourself. Don't trust anybody. Just do it alone. Get the bag, make the money. They're giving you counsel that is counter to how we all are as human beings. So if you go down that path, you will find yourself 20 years from now, 30 years from now, like these 50-plus-year-old women doing things for attention. You all saw Halle Berry on the Met Gala. At your age, look at me. I'm still valuable. Choose me. And I'm a proud pick me. But be very careful when people are advising you to do something that is not good for you. It is normal and natural for a man to want a woman and a woman to want a man. We can help you choose wisely, but this whole, I can do it by myself, like he said, even a psychopath wants to commune with another psychopath. All right, what would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and that goes back to our nature. We are social species. We want to have somebody by our side to enjoy the beauties and also to, even in our bad times, and the older you get, the more things you're going to have around life that are not going to be as happy, because you're getting older, you have friends that are getting older, and life starts shutting down for some people. So you need to have that one person next to you that will give you that support for all of those good and bad problems. And unfortunately, we are seeing these older women giving that horrible advice because, one, they probably don't want to be left alone when they're, when they're that older age. They want those younger women to also join them, as their friends, as they're aging at the same time. So it's really, it's very self-serving in a way. I don't know if they intentionally do it, but unfortunately, the end result is the same. You're going to have all of this incredible amount of single women living alone with other single women, maybe creating their own island, maybe creating their own environment, giving younger women the bad advice instead of saying, you know what? I wish that this age, I had that one person next to me being my ride or die, taking in, the good and bad throughout the lifetime. And we're enjoying it at our old age right now.
Absolutely, yes. The compounds have already started. And if y'all don't believe me, that's fine. I always say, ask yourself, the old people in your family, the old people that are in nursing homes, the old people in your community, do they sit there and say, I wish everybody would just leave me alone? Don't call me, don't come by, don't check on me, leave me alone. Or are they desperately wanting somebody to come see about them? When you're around them, do they tell their stories? And you're like, I gotta go. But they're craving that. That's who we are. That's who all of us are. All right, let's go back in.
This is misery. And so that's why we see a shitload of older 50, 60, 70-year-old women who are alone and miserable. Now, the majority of them will not tell you this. They won't tell you this because the sisterhood, they will die on that sword. They will tell you to the end of time, I'm happy. I don't need a man, but I want a man. This is their way of saying, help me, please. I need a man. That's all that is. And you see it with every celebrity who've left it till too long.
What are you looking for at this stage, this point?
A partner.
Yeah.
And when I say a partner, I want someone that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's not intimidated by who and what I am.
Yeah.
That likes to travel.
Yeah.
Going to let me go shopping.
Yeah.
Okay? You've seen it with all of these corporate women that do an IVF and no man and single mothers complaining and begging for a man to come and rescue them, so to speak. And so these younger women who are seeing these older women lie to them really think that they're going to be okay when they reach that age, not realizing that the reality of it is it doesn't get better as you get older. It gets progressively worse.
All right, I just want to take a moment. So we had Vivica Fox. You all have all seen that interview, and everybody has their opinion about what she said. But when I hear her as a 60-year-old woman saying the first thing out of her mouth, I want to have fun. I want to go shopping. I want someone who's not intimidated by me. She is mature in her years. She is very immature in her thought process. Respectfully, I have to say that. How much more fun do you need at 60? Vivica, you've had a great life. You've had all the fun. You didn't tether yourself to a family that you devoted your time to, and now it's like, okay, we can have a little bit of fun. You did whatever you wanted to do for as long as you wanted to do it. And now at 60, you want to continue doing all that fun and have someone else fund it for you. Here's what men hear when they listen to an older woman who's still talking like she's 20 years old, not 60 years old. Oh, she's selfish. It's all about her. Did you hear her? She didn't say anything about what she wants to bring to the relationship. And again, this is not about Vivica, but ladies, you have to listen that what we say, men know that it's going to cost them something to have us in their lives. So they want to know what they're going to get for that. And in that small clip, all she talked about is what she wanted. She wanted fun. She wanted to go travel. She wanted to go shopping. She wanted to be whoever she is and not have to humble herself because I'm big and bad for any man. Ask yourself, what man in his right mind would say, you know what, I have worked until 65 and this is exactly what I have been looking for, to give it all away to a woman who is going to consume and not give anything. And that's why these women are single. What would you add, Lucy?
And these single women, and for older women, then they start looking for ways to make themselves younger, because they think that they're going to get the guy that they could have gotten when they were 20 or 30. So again, this poor woman, Vivica, because it's so sad to see somebody like that. She even did some enhancement to her body to make her seem like she's younger, and it makes her look horrible because her body is already of a 60-year-old woman, and you're going to attach something else in your backside with those 60-year-old woman legs. So again, that's that mentality. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And for somebody to not have a friend that says, you know what, maybe you shouldn't do that. But, and maybe she did have somebody tell her that, but she did what she wanted to do. And now she looks like a fool. And that's what the man is going to have to deal with. She's going to do what she's going to do, no matter if I'm 60, 70, and, and the guy is telling her, babe, maybe it shouldn't be a good idea to enhance your body that way. No, because what she's going to say, oh, the man is controlling. So again, it's one of those things that it's just, I don't know, these younger women, I am hoping that they start listening to wisdom instead of just nonsense, because what they're offering is just nonsense.
All right, y'all, let's go back in.
A call with a 47-year-old woman who left her husband 2 years ago. Now she's desperate to get him back. She's asking me, how can I get him back? And he said plainly, I'm not interested. We could be friends. We can co-parent, but I'm not interested in getting back with you. Because she put him through hell. Hell. Now she wants him back. She fell for the, he didn't want to go on trips. He didn't want to do this, etc. So I'm going to go do it myself. She said she went on one trip, and she said it was the most emptiest feeling she had experienced. She says it was most depressing because all she thought about was, I have no one to share this with.
That likes to travel.
Yeah.
Gonna let me go shopping.
Yeah.
And I keep telling you, ladies, this idea of going on trips and coming back and sharing your excitement with people who have not been there is one of the most emptiest feelings you'll ever experience. The only time a trip is good is when you can share it with a friend or a husband or a significant other, where you can rehash it together and both of you can laugh at the quirks of the trip, the little things that you did. You get the inside jokes together. Oh, remember when we saw that statue with the penis and you touched it and yeah, you can't share those jokes with anyone else because they weren't there. They weren't there. They will just go, okay, yeah, that's great. Oh, I really don't want to see the photos again. No, I don't really. Oh, okay, you want to show me the photos again? Okay. And now they're looking at a bunch of meaningless photos that you are excited about, and they have no freaking interest in seeing your vacation photos with you in the parachute or whatever shit. No, they're not interested. No one cares. That's your experience. It's not theirs. But I want to now address the main part of this video that's vital for you.
All right, I just want to talk about this because I am slightly triggered as your favorite extrovert. But he brings up a really good point, ladies. And I love to travel. And my man and I, he he has certain parameters. I'm the jumping jelly bean. He's the stable one. But I will say this, and I have done some solo travel and I've done travel with him. But I've noticed when I travel with girlfriends who are single, this is years ago, I don't do this anymore, but because we have a routine and I check in, Lucy's been with me when I'm out and about, he calls to check in, we stay connected at the end of the night. How did it go? Or when the trip is over, I'm excited because he's at the airport, he's at baggage claim, he's excited to see me, I'm excited to see him. When I used to travel with single girlfriends, when the vacation was winding down, yes, we had a great time on the vacation, I was even more excited to share all that with someone who was emotionally invested in me. As opposed to when you don't have anybody to share that with, I noticed their mood would, before we even started winding down the last day, you could tell that they were approaching reality that nobody cares. like what he just said. Nobody wants to know the funny stories. Nobody wants to see the pictures. You're either going to have to Uber yourself home, or I even had one say, can y'all drop me off at home? So, again, whatever your hobbies are, we all have them. But Lucy and I will always tell you, prioritize your relationship first. And then together you all can work out what things you want to do, apart from each other, what things you want to do together. But even traveling or, things that you want to do, it just means so much more when you have that relationship sorted out. Would you add anything, Lucy?
Yeah, and when you tell that story about your single friends, I can just imagine you coming to the airport, having your significant other waiting for you. You were the only one, and who was waiting for them? So that must be such a disappointing feeling not to have that somebody that you can depend on to come and pick you up or drop you off. And again, what he said about, these women sharing their pictures of a vacation, they use social media for that. You know that all these women sharing their vacation time, and you have random people from all over the world commenting on pictures of somebody that you don't even know. So again, it's a really sad state of affairs when you see somebody getting validation from random people instead of just having that constant person that's there for you in the good and the bad and the neutral.
All right, let's go back in.
You gentlemen to understand when Megyn Kelly asked Dr. Peterson this, because every single man watching this, every single woman have to learn this one point.
Let me ask you this. I've been dying to ask you this. I speak with a lot of young conservative women regularly, and and they are very aware of everything you've said. They've got their eye on the biological clock in a way the previous generation did not. They understand the risks of waiting too long to choose a partner, all of that. They do get it. But a lot of them still, they want a career of their own. They're driven professionally in that way.
Just a quick pause, just so we don't lose the plot. She quoted young conservative women, okay? This doesn't just happen in conservative women. This happens in all women, every one of them. The biological clock is running out. Whether you're conservative or liberal, a lot of you want jobs and careers because that's what you've been conditioned to think, okay? Just want to make that one point. Let's proceed.
And what they ask me, Jordan, is, should I just settle? And what they ask me, Jordan, is, should I just settle? Should I just settle? I'm 29 now. I have a career that I like. I haven't met the right guy yet, but there are guys who are interested in me. So should I just settle now for somebody who I'm really not that into?
Well, the first thing I would ask is that who's settling in that equation? Like, it's quite the narcissistic proclamation that it's clearly you who's settling, and that might even be more true if you're 29. Because you're competing with a lot of 24-year-olds by that point, and they put a lot less biological pressure on a potential mate. Like, look, when I was out touring 3 nights in a row, the same question came up because I do a Q&A at the end of my lectures, and this is in the last round of tours. And one of the questions was, well, how do I find the person that's right for me? And I didn't answer it the first night. There was something about the question I didn't like. And then it came up 2 more nights in a row and was voted up by the audience. And the third night I thought, I know why I tried stumbling through an answer and it didn't work. And then the third night I thought, I know what the problem is here. That's the wrong question. Because the right question is, how do I make myself into the sort of person that's so attractive to other people that potential mates are lining up for me? That's a way different question than how do I find the person that's right for me? Like, first of all, who are you?
Oh, I like that.
And what's so special about you that how do you know that the right person wouldn't take one look at you and run away screaming if they had any sense? Like, seriously, you're settling, are you?
This is what women don't consider. Are you the right person for the man that you want? And maybe you could look at this as another interpretation of, well, what do you bring to the table? Or the other narrative or the other talking point is, well, what are you offering that man that would make you qualify for him? because all women want a man who's better than them or on their level, right? But in reality, the majority of the women want a man who's at their level, who still has to bring something to the table and or better than them. So who's settling? It is the man that's settling. It's never the woman who settles. Yet she honestly feels that she's settling, but it's not settling. It's actually her wanting more. How can you be settling when you're getting more without calling it greed? Settling is when you have a man below you in all aspects. But then after that, you need to reconsider, what is a man below me? Because even a man below you is still sacrificing a lot more for you when it comes to protection, provision, because he might not be making equal amount of money than you, but you consume more than he does. So he still have to sacrifice for you. You might be making 100,000, but your consumption rate in the family is a lot higher than he is. He might be making 80,000, but you know what? He now has to spend 70% of his income on you because you're going to be consuming more. Because women think that, well, if I got him here and we combining our salaries, I should be spending my money and his as well, regardless if he's making less. That's how women think. Most of the time, the men are spending a much larger percentage of their income than women spend on themselves. I see it in every single situation where I'm counseling married people. The woman might be making more, but she sucks a larger percentage of his income more than hers. She spends the majority of the money on frivolous, stupid shit. He has to bear the brunt of the mortgage and all the other big expenses, but she gets to enjoy more of her income. More of her income goes to the fun stuff for her and or the kids.
If you use that language, even the first thing you might ask yourself is, why do you start with such a high opinion of yourself and such a low opinion of the people who are pursuing you? Now, look, I understand that it's necessary to be attracted to a potential partner, and that women have the right and the duty to be picky. They should find a man who's going to be not a child and who's going to be very helpful to them in all ways, particularly when they have children, and who's going to be a good father. And so hooray to women for being picky. But that's not the same thing as starting out narcissistic. We talked about Snow White. Before she could find a prince, she had to learn to be of service to the dwarves. Like, that's worth thinking about. Now, you might think, well, why should we pay attention to a fairy tale? It's like, well, how about because people remembered it for 15,000 years and that Disney just spent $250 million trying to retell it and failed. And then with regards to the order of affairs in a woman's life, look, I calculated recently that even an attractive woman, like radically attractive woman, let's say, who often has her own problems, by the way, because she tends to scare men away, right? A lucky woman has 5 potential partners in her life. 5. You get 5 chances. That's it. Now think about this. Let's just think that through, right? Because it's a terrifying way to think. So imagine that you're primarily looking, say, from the time you're 16 at the lowest end to say 30. Because after that, it's starting to get harder because the clock is ticking so desperately. 1 in 3 couples at 30 already have fertility problems, by the way, which is defined as difficulty conceiving within a year, even though the attempts are being made. Okay, so let's say you got 14 years, something like that. Now, how long does it take to find someone and then figure out who they are, especially if they're strangers? Before you're going to decide to marry someone, likely you're going to want to know them for a year, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that's 5 years right there with 5 people.
This is something that women don't freaking think about. They think because they can jump from one lover to a next very quickly, that they can accomplish the same thing when it comes to relationships. They know that they can go out every night and have another man between their legs. So they kind of associate this feeling that, oh, I can easily get someone, even if he's not the top man, I can easily get him to marry me and commit to me financially just like I can get him in between my legs. Really, they confuse these two things. And I'm talking about as far as the speed of securing a man for procreation. That's why there's so many baby mamas out there.
But that also assumes that you go from one relationship to another with no intervening space. So you're not suffering too much, for example, when a potentially promising relationship collapses, or you don't get sick or something doesn't waylay you in your professional career. So imagine 2 years per relationship. That's 10 years for 5. That's assuming that people want to be around you. So I don't know if you're settling. I get the picture. You don't want to lie to someone and tell them that you find them attractive in all possible ways when you don't. But maybe you could start the bloody process with a little more humility.
I like the way you started that. What shouldn't the goal be to make yourself so attractive just in heart and soul, not to mention on the outside, that does require some effort, that they're lining up, there. And if that's not happening, why? Why is it? It's my favorite poem. You'll find the fault lies in you, right? Make an examination. You'll find the fault lies in you. It's called yourself to blame.
All right, so I just wanted that portion with Dr. Peterson to play out because, I mean, to me, that's just genius. There's so much in that, but 2 things that stood out to me. Ladies, again, and Ask an Older Gentleman spoke to this. Women are confusing their ability to get instant intimacy with getting instant relationships. And this is hurting a lot of women. Like the late, great Kevin Samuel said, ladies, we control access to sex. A man can want it as much as he wants it, but if the woman doesn't say yes, it's not going to happen. Likewise, ladies, we can want relationship as badly as we want. Oh, I'm ready. Marry me. I would be great for you. You would be great for me. But until the man offers that relationship, that exclusivity, asks for your hand in marriage, claims you as his own, it's not going to happen. You'll be in a relationship with yourself. So because women can get sex easily, they're thinking, okay, when I'm ready, I just take that same superpower over here and it's going to work. It's not going to work. And I don't use the term narcissist because I'm not a professional in that sense, but I think it is highly arrogant. Did you hear Megyn Kelly when she said she talks to young women in their late 20s? Lucy and I were both married in our early to mid 20s. So women still 28, 29, focus on their career. Now you've been an adult for a decade now. And you're asking, you know what? I got guys that are interested in me. Should I just go ahead and settle? Who are you? Like you're doing someone a favor. And these are the women that are going to pass up on a suitable man, a good man that could be a great husband to them, find him later on, married and happy with somebody else, and you still think you can do better. Again, ladies, men do the asking. We can accept with grace or we can exit with grace. Don't believe me? Find any woman that made him Mr. So-and-so. Or was he already Mr. So-and-so and made his wife Mrs. So-and-so? All right. What would you add, Lucy?
I love the part where he talked about women thinking that just because they out-earned the guy, the man, they are above the man. Whereas, we even if that were the case, we outconsume that man that could probably be earning less. We are the ones that say, your money is my money and my money is my money. So again, that's one of the things that they don't understand. Just because you earn more than your possible, significant other, that doesn't make you above the man, because again, you're more of a liability. We are more of a liability. Anytime when I can see it with my husband, he pays everything in the house. I contribute a little bit here and there, and he's happy when he sees, that I put a little more. But for the majority of the expenses, he's the one, and I don't have to worry about those things. So again, ladies, if a man decides that you are the one, because they're the ones that do the asking, if they decide that you are the one, they will give you everything, but you have to make yourself so attractive to get to that point. He also said, you're going to have that list of men wanting to court you, assuming that people want to be around you. And what I see from 20-year-olds right now, they're so arrogant and annoying that nobody wants to be around them. I've seen it. I see it in my, with the girls in my family, how they think that they are everything. And it's like, okay, you can say that, in your 20s, but once you get older, that confidence that you are everything, it goes away, because men are not going to be knocking at your door wanting to be with you, because again, you have created this personality that nobody wants to be around. So again, it's you got to be careful about sharing the information that you are going out there on social media, thinking that you are it, that you have the pick of the litter, and say, I'm going to be the one that chooses. That doesn't work that way. The man is the one that sees all of those qualities and says, you know what, this is the one that I think is going to, in the long run, going to be with me till the end of our lives.
Couldn't agree more. We're going to go back in and finish this up. Neo Moses says, question, Maggie, even if women want to be married, women should take wife school to be qualified to be a wife if mom never taught her. Lucy and I do have the wife lessons. Mr. President said that is our best course. We ran the curriculum by the men who support our content. I recommend it, but of course I'm biased. But again, ladies, it's just information to get you started. You have to do the work, and you have to do the work consistently, and you have to show up as a candidate for the man that you want. We know, ladies, there are men that you don't want. We get it. We hear you. You friend zone them. You call them scrubs. You ghost them. You do all of that. Fine. We're not talking about those men, but the men that you do want. Why haven't they chosen you? If we could snap our fingers and make it happen, why do we have this plenty of 50-year-old women now saying they want a relationship? If the ball was in their court, they wouldn't have anything to say, because they'd be happily married and living their lives. All right. Everything is at teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. And that one is called Wife Lessons, actually Wife Archetypes. All right. So let's go back in and wrap this up.
Oh man. Guys, you got to admit that was freaking masterful. Dr. Peterson just laid it out. Ladies, you got 5 chances. 5 chances. And in between those 5 different men, there has to be at least 2 to 3 years grace in order to get to know the man. Because that's 15 years of your life that you're going to waste with this idea, I'm not settling. If you think you can jump from one to one to one to one, from one man to the next, from one man to the next, that, oh, I got endless chances and endless possibilities, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly.
The man is doing the bare minimum. Very little. And you're okay with that.
See, women think that they bring everything a man wants to a relationship. And he only brings the bare minimum because he's not showering her with everything she wants. Not need, everything she wants. As far as they're concerned, that's the bare minimum. Unbelievable.
If you understood your value, you would not be this hung up on a man who has literally added nothing to your life except chaos, confusion, insecurity, and inconsistent, less than bare minimum effort. You think your feelings right now are caused by a deficit of love from this man, but your feelings right now are actually caused by a deficit of love from yourself. My love, when you finally realize your worth and can finally see clearly the level to which you're being disrespected right now, walking away from this man is going to be a whole lot easier. Trust me. I love you. You deserve so much better, and follow me for help detaching and moving.
Yeah, there's so many videos out there just convincing women that they should be alone. So many. This channel comment section is full of men who are preferring to be alone because they feel that they've found peace. But women are the ones to be pursued for relationships. This is a simple equation. If men don't find the product pursuable, that means there's something wrong with the product. It's as simple as that. Men are the buyers. Women are saying, I'm not settling, basically means that their opinion of themselves are so damn high that the buyers are saying, no, it's not worth it. So unfortunately, there's no balance in the middle. There's no negotiating in the middle. And so we're left with this deficit in between. And so we're back to that one simple point, my friends. You all have to learn to compromise. Relationships are not easy, but they are much more rewarding than they are difficult. Nothing good in life comes easy. This is what you all have to understand. So for all the men who saying, I gave up, and all the women who say I'm not settling, realize that there is a happy medium when you come to full grips with the fact that, ladies, you're not that special. There are many more women exactly like you out there, equally bad, because that's why you've not been found by a man. Make yourself the best version of what a man would want. Otherwise, you're just going to end up being alone. And I can assure you, 50, 60, 70, 80s are not a beautiful place to be alone. It's not about dying alone. It's about living a horrible 30 years alone. It's not a beautiful place to be in. Okay? So, my friends, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully, you got some small measure of knowledge from this video. And hopefully, I have left you with enough information where you can make a decision, where you can move into a new direction with life. Because I can tell you, being alone is it's not the best place to be in. Okay? So until next time, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask the gray-haired man. Ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.
All right, everybody. So let's wrap this up. It makes me sad. Again, you all saw that 2 other women, I'd say on the younger side of 40, maybe 30s, maybe 40s, encouraging women to leave their relationships. Now, Lucy and I are always going to encourage you to be in healthy relationships with good men, and there's so many, but they're not going to put up with a woman that is disagreeable. So, when I hear these women saying, you need to love yourself more, it's not about the love from the man. You're not lacking in love from the man. You're lacking in self-love. All of this promotion of self. Again, circling back to what I said, that goes against the human condition. We do need each other and we do want each other, and that is normal and natural. But it makes me think of all these women, and I will just drop some names because you will see the red thread. Do you remember how Tia Mowry was talking about she needed to love herself more when she went on this divorce and this whole tour of interviews talking about everything with self-love? Yet every episode is crying about being alone. Had girlfriends around her who were giving her the, we're here for you. She didn't really want that. You have in this episode, we just saw Vivica Fox saying, someone who's not intimidated by me, someone who's not intimidated by who I am and what I have. Again, another one who is very aware of who she is to herself, yet and still looking for a relationship. We just saw Tracy Ellis Ross on that podcast talking about I'm self-actualized was her words. Older men are toxic masculinity. Again, not to stomp on these women per se. My point is that with all of this self-love that these women are proclaiming, why are you still unhappy? Why are you still miserable? Why are you still alone and talking about it? If love of self was enough, you wouldn't even be here. You would be loving yourself alone, living your life. And so, young ladies, hopefully this episode about settling has been a little eye-opening. If you have a man who is interested in you and you're interested in him, meet your match and get out of the dating market, because it's not going to get any better and you don't want to be out here. There's a new crop of women turning 18 and 21 every year. And these older women had their time in the sun and you couldn't tell them anything then, but look at them now. What would you say to close this out, Lucy?
I agree. If you have somebody that is courting you, is really interested in you, why not? You know, the chances that you're going to find 3, 4, 5 people wanting you as much as this one person is probably going to be very minimal, because again, you are aging. And remember that men, as they age, they get better. Unfortunately for us, it's the other way around, because our fertility and, you know, everything goes south. And, you know, even our personalities, when menopause kicks in, we go crazy. So again, you know, if you have that one guy being interested in you, give him a chance. You know, you're going to be probably surprised about how much he can give to you once you say yes to him.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for all of the engagement in the chat. This was a good one. Lucy and I are with you all twice a week, usually on Wednesday evenings and then Saturday afternoons. Let me just look at the calendar. So we'll see. Got the ballet this weekend, but we'll see. We'll be back with you guys with another video. Just turn on your notifications. And again, if you're interested in any of our courses, they're at the link in the banner, teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. The next one that we're going to teach live starts July 19th. So you've got some time, and that one is relationship basics. So with that, we're going to leave you all, and we will say adios.